Holy smokes, folks. This is a really good trade for Toronto. I mean, we've been having all this talk about Mitch Marner, how he's leaving the team, how John Tavares stuck around for cheap, how Matthew Knies stuck around for, maybe not necessarily cheap, but kind of cheaper than what people expected was possible. And now, with that hole, gaping wide open hole from the 100-point Marner leaving the organization, the Maple Leafs are filling it with Matias Maccelli from the Utah Mammoth. The Maple Leafs have acquired Maccelli from Utah, a player who had asked for a trade during the regular season. Utah finally obliges him. It's a good additional for the Leafs. Yes, that's right, good additional for the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Mammoth get a conditional third-round pick. That's it. Conditional third is the return. Hope is that Maccelli can play in the Leafs' top six. He can play either wing and is considered a decent playmaker. Is considered. I'd say that he is a decent playmaker. Let's go out there and look at the conditions on the trade here. Frank Seravalli, noted free agent, by the way, Frank Seravalli. His contract with Daily Faceoff had expired, and now he doesn't have a home. It's going to be really interesting to see Frank Seravalli wherever it is that he is next. Maybe he comes over to Sportsnet, who really knows, but Frank Seravalli had the trade details here. The Toronto Maple Leafs are receiving Matias Maccelli, and the Utah Hockey Club are are receiving a conditional third-round pick in 2027. The condition is that pick can become a 2029 second-round pick if Maccelli scores 51 or more points in 25-26 and Toronto qualifies for the playoffs. Now, I don't think it's guaranteed that they qualify for the playoffs with the departure of a guy like Marner, but I think it's probably like 70% that they do make the dance, so we can say that this is probably going to be a shoo-in. And with the hope that Maccelli becomes a top six player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, 51 points is something that I think everybody involved here would like to see. Matias Maccelli wants to be able to produce. The Toronto Maple Leafs want this guy to be able to produce in their system too. And then the Utah Hockey Club, they would want to see that pick get upgraded, although it is quite interesting how the pick they are receiving right now is a 2027 pick. If the pick upgrades, that pick becomes a 2029 pick. You might be wondering, okay, why is that? Why is it so far into the future? Why are we dealing with picks 4 years from now? Well, if the Toronto Maple Leafs want to go down the offer sheet route, if they want to start making trades at the deadline, it's probably more likely that they will need more of their picks in the now in order to facilitate those transactions. Making a trade for a guy on June 30th is a little bit easier to do when the picks that you're trading away aren't going to be immediate draft picks. If we head over to the Toronto Maple Leafs and their draft capital screen here on Puckpedia, we can see that the Maple Leafs already have lost out on a bunch of their picks over the next few years here, so it doesn't seem like they'll be able to do many offer sheets, actually. I take that back. Although they want to keep a lot of these picks in the 25, 26, 27 range, just so they have ammo to fire at teams at the trade deadline. That seems to be the philosophy here. They're not going to be dealing with many 2029 transactions in the short term, so why not go out there and make the trade involving one of these picks? And for a guy like Matias Maccelli, I think he definitely has the potential to get 51 or more points this upcoming year, especially if he's a top six guy alongside of Austin Matthews or something. Look at that headshot. What a brilliant picture of Matias Maccelli with his tongue sticking out there. But he's a 24-year-old, 5'11", 185-pound winger out of Turku in Finland. Because he was born in October of 2000, he was eligible for the 2019 NHL Entry Draft, where he was taken 98th overall by the Arizona Coyotes. I actually do remember scouting some of Maccelli back in this year. He was really good for the Dubuque's Fighting Saints in the USHL, way over a point per game guy, and the fact that he had slipped all the way to the 4th round was kind of criminal, I'm not going to lie. There were people ranking him around 63rd, 186, 131. It was all over the place because this guy didn't really have the most projectable tools, nor I think there were work ethic issues also there. I'm not really too sure. This is all from 6 years ago, so take it with a grain of salt. But Matias Maccelli, 72 points in 62 games played. He gets drafted in the 4th round. Then he goes over to Ilves in the Finnish Liga, becomes a pretty good player over there before making his way over to North America one more time, being a well over point per game player with the Tucson Roadrunners and having a small cup of coffee in the NHL. Look at this, though. He had 6 points in 23 NHL games at the age of 21, and then the season after he explodes for 49 points in 64 games. That's incredible. 49 points here, and then 57 points the year after at 23 years old, 17 goals and 40 assists. Talk about a decent playmaker, Darren Dreger, quote-unquote. Matias Maccelli is a real, legit threat. It's just, this previous season, things really didn't go well for him with the Utah Hockey Club. That's not necessarily his fault. The Utah Hockey Club had a lot of high-tier production out of some of their better guys. You had Logan Cooley, of course, Dylan Genther, Barrett Hayton took a pretty big step up, Josh Doan did as well. A lot of people improved with the Utah Hockey Club. Matias Maccelli, unfortunately, was not one of them. I think because he is so young, and because his contract is so reasonable, $3.4 million a year till the end of next season, because of all these factors, it's a lot easier for teams to look at Maccelli and be like, oh yeah, he had his first few years in the NHL with tremendous success, had definitely less success the year after, so this is all just a down year. This is not indicative of the player that Maccelli is. I think there's so much to like out of his game. He slows the game down. He can make some brilliant passes. He's a total playmaker. I love Matias Maccelli as a hockey playing profile. So now seeing him in Toronto, this is a much bigger stage for him. He'll be given a much bigger role. And based off of his skill and how he's able to adapt to things, maybe it might take him a little while to get going, but once he does get going, I mean, this is a guy who could realistically get 45 to 50 assists on a year if everything goes right and if he's playing with the right line mates. I'm a really big fan of Matias Maccelli, and I think the Toronto Maple Leafs had themselves a very good trade over here. Conditional 3rd round pick that can become a 2nd, and it's multiple years down the line? Yeah, sign me up for that. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Toronto Maple Leafs making this trade over here? It is Matias Maccelli to Toronto for a 3rd that could become a 2nd round pick. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on, and bye.